Hey guys, Cisco Borres, Connecticut Realtor here, and I want to talk to you about the number one question right now. Whether it's a client, a friend, family, even other agents are asking me this, and it's what's up with the market. So if you've been reading the articles, or even if you're in the market yourself right now, you've already heard every house that comes on the market has a ton of showings and multiple offers over asking price, and we all know about this now. It's become common knowledge, but what you may not have heard is why. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. This video might be a little bit longer than some of the others, but there's really a lot to cover, and there's a lot of factors. So I hope you stick with me to the end. The short and easy way to answer that question is just to say, oh, well, it's the pandemic. And that's not wrong, but it's definitely incomplete. COVID is responsible for a bunch of the factors and decisions that have led to the real issue. And that real issue is low inventory. Low inventory, I know a lot of you already know what this means, but for those who don't, low inventory simply means that there are not enough houses currently for sale in the area. And that's a national event. That's just not just our area, but that's low inventory. Just how low is the inventory? Well, I'll tell you. The National Association of Realtors has said that we're experiencing the lowest inventory nationwide since 1982. For those of you keeping track, that's the year I was born. That's almost 40 years since we've seen anything like this. So let's talk about some of the reasons for this. First, and perhaps the biggest reason, is that the boomer generation is definitely what you would consider a high risk for COVID complications. And many of them are understandably nervous about putting their homes on the market and moving due to the risks involved with, having people walking through the house while it's being sold, and having to be out there in the world for the move. There's a lot of factors that people are understandably concerned about. The boomers age group is typically responsible for a large percentage of homes for sale because they're generally looking to downsize at this age. So that's a big part of the pie missing, the market being the pie. Another similarly corona-related issue is that older people and their families are doing everything they can to avoid nursing homes right now. So many people that would otherwise be moving on to assisted living are now choosing to age in place. And that's another big chunk of that market pie gone. Another thing we can talk about is the government's reactions to COVID. And some of these have caused temporary but major changes to inventory. For example, forbearance. Forbearance, if you haven't heard that word yet, it's a mortgage forgiveness program set up by the federal government. It doesn't actually forgive payments, but it allows the homeowners that are having financial problems to defer or delay making payments. Although this temporarily could be helpful to the homeowner, it stopped another group from selling that would otherwise have to sell, taking away yet another piece of that market. The same could be said for the landlord that has tenants that can't be evicted. The CDC just extended the eviction moratorium until June 1st. I'm sure there are plenty of landlords out there that would love to cash in on this market, but we're not going to be able to do so. And right now it seems like June 1st is that date, but they've extended it 3 or 4 times already, so we just don't know. Finally, interest rates are still at record lows, meaning that although the inventory is low, there are still lots of very motivated buyers out there ready to get into a bidding war without blinking on almost every house that pops up on the market. And that's the other side of the coin. Not only, is there the low inventory, but we also have an abundance of buyers. All these issues that we've, just touched on are national issues. But if we want to take a second here, we'll break it down into Connecticut specific things going on. The obvious one that I've talked about in previous videos, of course, is the influx of New Yorkers flooding into Fairfield and parts of New Haven counties. They're literally coming in by the hundreds of thousands. It's it's amazing. It's a mass exodus from New York City. I mean, if you've driven down any of the roads in Connecticut, you've seen more New York plates than you've ever seen in your life. Um, and across the country, people have been leaving all the big cities because of all the discomfort that came from being in lockdowns with small square footage and plenty of other reasons that I'm not going to get into today. Um, but Connecticut happens to be the neighbor to the biggest city in the whole country. So clearly that's going to affect us. Um, the other Connecticut issue, which is much less known um, and less discussed, but for the last few years, Connecticut has been lagging behind the rest of the country in growth and in housing prices. This has created a vacuum effect that has added to the increased demand that we're already experiencing. It's almost like a rubber band effect. As everything else was moving up, we were lagging behind, and now we've been slingshotted to the front. Or maybe not the front, maybe just back in line with the rest of the country, depending on perspective. So the next big question is obvious, right? Is this going to change? And well, people thinking about selling their homes certainly hope not, but I believe it will change. I believe it's going to happen relatively soon. I believe that inventory will increase. In fact, it's already started. If I can rattle off some stats, the National Association of Realtors just released some numbers regarding inventory trends, specifically new homes coming on the market. In January of 2021, we saw about 14% fewer homes than in previous years for the month of January. In February, it was even worse at 31% fewer homes than is typical. But now, as of March 30th, this was yesterday's stat, we're seeing only about a 1% difference. So inventory is increasing and will likely continue to increase, barring anything unforeseen, which, if the past year has taught us anything, is completely possible. But here's why the inventory seems to be coming back, and the factors that will lead to inventory coming back on the market. First of all, the vaccines work. The older generation is being vaccinated first and fast, and they're getting much more comfortable with listing their homes. Second, increasing prices means people are holding on to big equity, and they're going to want to cash in on that sooner than later. Those same price increases, coupled with a slight increase in the interest rate, is going to have an impact on demand, which will slow things down a bit, bring things to a more natural pace. Next, forbearance and the eviction moratoriums, which we just discussed, are likely to be done in June. It seems like a long time off from now, but it's around the corner, and it should be coming to an end. Finally, and most importantly, and most obviously to some, but there are others who haven't quite seen this track through the years. The spring market is coming. It's a little bit late, but it always comes. All these issues are going to lead to a more natural saturation of sellers, and things will level out again sooner than later. So, in closing, if you're thinking about buying a new home, don't panic. Things will get better, and probably very soon. And if you're planning to sell, you might want to get a move on. Opportunities don't last forever, and this is no exception. Call me or message me. Let's talk about it. You can also check out my website at remaxcisco.com. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe or like the video. Take care, guys. Have a happy Easter. Talk to you soon.